Okay, chapter 15. So Celeste has found a new boy toy. That's gross. Victim. It's a little better. Celeste has found a new victim named Boyd, and she has been having sex with him in Jack's old house, because it's just an abandoned house at this point, because Jack's living with his mother. So that's kind of their go-to place. I cannot find my glasses. I was desperate the other day. I just went out on my front porch and just started screaming, "Has anybody seen my glasses? Has anybody seen my glasses?" There's this guy, he was into my driveway, he's just staring at me. He's not waving, he's not talking, he's not answering me, he's just staring at me. Then I get this weird thought, like maybe, maybe I'm being like gang stalked or something. This is like their leader, and he stole my glasses, and it's like part of some big elaborate thing to start fucking with me. So I just, I'm still in my slippers and my jammy pants, but I just gotta go marching down my driveway to confront the guy. And it turns out it was my neighbor's car. Really need my glasses, man. Boyd and I would begin having sex without the lights on, and end in total darkness, barely able to see one another's faces. He increasingly liked to do it to violent movies. Tommy guns, stabbings, the sounds of splatter punctuating our thrusts. Once it grew dark, the glow of the small television in Jack's bedroom had an eerie, otherworldly feel, almost too real, as if we weren't watching a movie at all, but actual footage of a live murder. So they're having sex to violent movies in Jack's bedroom, and at some point they're doing it doggy style, and Celeste suddenly notices that Boyd's rhythm is off. He gets a little seems a little distracted by something. And when she looks over, she sees what it is. It's Jack. He's just standing in the doorway watching him. So she leaps off of Boyd's penis and hops off the bed. And the television's still making a bunch of noise. Blood, violence, all that. So she hits mute. And as soon as she hits mute, that sends Jack into action. With a primal scream, he charges at Boyd and throws him and punches him. And Boyd falls backwards and cracks his head. The back left corner of Boyd's head slammed into a sharp nightstand corner and produced a gash that began bleeding heavily in mere seconds. By the time Jack realized that Boyd was hurt, Jack's hands and clothes were covered with so much slick blood that he seemed to have just emerged from inside a large animal. Boyd cowered on the floor, both hands cradling his head as he made primitive groans. Jack backed away slowly, with all the confusion of a recent amnesiac, appearing to feel as if he were the victim of a horrible trick. So one of Jack's biggest contentions here is not just that she's cheating on him, it's also that when his dad was dying, one of Celeste's sales pitches to him was that if his dad died, then they could truly be together, because he wouldn't be in the way anymore. It's clearly not what's happening right now. So, once again, poor Jack, he's really getting the worst of it here. Then again, Boyd is bleeding from his skull right now. That's also pretty bad, but hey, it's not a competition, right? So, Jack runs away. He runs out of the house, and Celeste is kind of freaking out because, one boy's bleeding on the floor. The other one is super angry with her and, probably ready to spill the beans on their extracurricular activities. So she chases after Jack, completely forgetting that she's butt-ass naked. And she also doesn't realize that at some point she grabbed a knife. So she's running down the street naked with a knife in her hand. When I snapped back to consciousness, other onlookers had appeared. Cautious neighbors standing on porches with phones to their ears. Shocked spectators pointing at me from the edges of their lawns, but not venturing a single toe over the boundary of their grass. So the cops show up. It was just a matter of time, but the cops are here. And they take her down to the station to question her. And part of her expects Ford to be down there waiting for her, but he's not there. And she's worried about the cell phone. Because remember when Jack took that picture of her, she never could find it to delete it. She doesn't know where on that phone he hid it. So that might still be in there. And one of the biggest points of contention that the police have is that they're pretty sure she was chasing Jack with a knife. And she tries to tell him, no, I was running away to get help. And then everybody's like, well, you weren't like screaming for help. You were kind of like an indigenous tribesman trying to hunt down a wild boar with a knife, just running naked through the neighborhood. It looked more like hunting than a cry for help, basically. And then the cop's like, well, if you were trying to call for help, why didn't you use your phone? And Celeste, being the quick-witted one she is, she comes up with a great answer to that question, which is to just put her hands over her ears and just scream, because that always works. See, that's the downside of trying to get with children all the time. You seem to think that adults behave that way. And sadly, a lot of them do. And then a man walks in wearing a suit, and that turns out to be Celeste's attorney. And he says, the interview's over. Remember that show Dukes of Hazzard? Whenever the Duke boys would ramp their car over, like over a pond, and it would freeze frame, like midair. And then the voiceover guy, he'd be like, well, it looks like them Duke boys got themselves in a heap of trouble. Tune in next week to find out. I just picture Celeste like running just butt-ass naked with a knife. She's like full sprint, and then it just freezes. Looks like that Celeste girl got in some trouble. Tune in next week to find out. Brought to you in part by Huggies or Fisher Price. This episode of Tampa is brought to you by Fisher Price, where you can play with toys while someone's playing with you. Never mind. Oh, God.